Hello everyone, my name is Clinton and I'm with the Lamest Defenders. Today I'll be showing you the basics for Fantasy Flight Games Marvel Champions. In Marvel Champions you'll be playing as the role of your favorite superhero. Well, of the ones that have been released so far. And over the course of multiple turns, defeating the villain and thwarting their scheme. How do you do that? Well, shut up for a minute and let me tell you. We'll start with the identity card of your chosen character. Each identity card has two sides. An alter ego side used mainly for healing, as denoted by the number in the upper left, and the hero side, which has three numbers: thwart, attack, and defense. Both sides come with a special ability limited to only that particular side. Each hero comes with 15 special identity cards. These allow you to use the hero's specific power provided you can pay for said card, which is a great segue in how to pay for cards. You'll notice that each card has a value on the top left. That denotes how much that card will cost. Some cards may have specific cost requirements, and those are strength, mental, energy, and wild. Unless specified, wild can pay for anything. Along with the specific identity cards, you'll have access to augment your deck with one of 4 aspect cards: aggression, leadership, justice, and protection, along with a basic deck of cards to choose from. And don't let the term basic fool you. Some of these cards are quite powerful and practically necessary in any deck you build. And to beat this game, you will need strong cards, as the villains are no pushover. Instead of explaining how to beat the villain, I'll show you, starting with game setup. So for first step of the setup, we're going to first select our hero. I've chosen Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, and what we're going to do next is set our hit points. So we'll see that Carol Danvers has a hit points of 12. So we're going to grab this handy dandy little counter that Fantasy Flight provided every box with, and we're going to set it to 12. Okay, cool. So her hit points are now set. Then we're going to set aside her obligation card and nemesis set. Each hero comes with a specific obligation card and nemesis set that only they will be able to fight. After that, we're going to shuffle the player deck, which is our character cards, our specific aspect, and our basic cards. You have a choice of going anywhere between 40 to 50 cards for your personal deck. After that, we gather the token and status cards and set them aside for use later. Following that, we select the villain. I've chosen Rhino, and we'll be using his normal mode, which is levels 1 and level 2. If you'd like more of a challenge, you can always select the expert mode, which is level 2 and level 3. After that, we will set the villain's hit points. You will see on the bottom of the villain card how many hit points they will have per player. So if you're playing solo, it's just 14 hit points. If you're playing as 2 players, you'll set it at 28, and so on. The game does play up to 1 to 4. So we'll set Rhino's hit points up to 14. And move on from there. The next step is resolving scheme setup. Each villain has a specific scheme tied with them. Rhino's is the break-in. You can see his contents: Rhino's 1 and 2, or Rhino 2 and 3 instead for expert mode. Rhino in standard encounter sets, 1 modular encounter set, recommended bomb scare. You can substitute the standard encounter set with a expert encounter set, which basically just ratchets up the difficulty pretty high. And on top of the modular encounter set. The modular encounter sets are basically their own little storyline. This one, bomb scare, there's a bomb going off in the city and you've got to try to disarm it. But there is one with revolving aim and you have to fight MODOK. It can vary, the level of difficulty can vary pretty greatly. That's the nice thing about this game, is that you can play the same villain but have different encounter modular sets for each one. So for each game, you're very rarely going to play the same game twice. So we get back to the main scheme, and then it has a threat of 7 per player. So since it's just me, if this scheme reaches 7 at any point, Rhino wins. and that's it, game over. This icon shows that there will be no starting scheme, but every time the villain phase starts, he will get +1, again, per player. After creating the encounter set, we'll draw our hand size. Carol Danvers, she has a hand size of 6. However, if we finish the round as Captain Marvel, we have a hand size of 5. So if we have 6 or greater, we have to discard our hand down to 5 to comply with her hand size limit. So we're going to start with drawing 6 cards. 4, 5, and 6. All right, let's see what we got here. So we get a mulligan. So this is just for the first hand of the game. For the first hand, if you draw 6 cards, if you don't like all 6 of them, you can discard and draw 6 more. I'm not going to be doing that since this is just a demo purpose. We're just going to look at our cards real quick and then kind of go on from there. All right. So, sorry. Excuse me, Captain. There we go. All right. The final step for setup is to resolve character setup abilities. It is resolving any setup instructions listed on identity cards in play. Carol Danvers doesn't have one, so we don't have to worry about that. So now we are in the player phase. So on our player phase, we have options. We can play cards. We may trigger and request actions. What they mean by requesting actions is if you're playing this with multiple people, you can actually request other help from others. This is an entirely co-op game. Basically, everybody wins when the villain is defeated. You can use basic, thwart, and recovery powers. Changing your form. What that means is you can go from alter ego to hero form. Now that is only limited to once per round. And then you can end your turn after that. So I'm going to start the game in alter ego form because I want to show what will happen when a villain will scheme. Okay, so looking through my hand, there's really only one card that I'm interested in playing right now, and that is Cosmic Flight, which gives Captain Marvel the aerial trait. Some of her abilities require the aerial trait to be more effective, so we're going to make sure we pay for that right now. So I'm going to discard these 2. Note the 2 cost up here, but we have a energy and a wild symbol, so that's great. That's all we need, and we're going to pay this down. We're going to play this right now. So since this is an upgrade, upgrades mean that they're basically part of your character now. You don't have to worry about that. That is permanent. That is something she will have for the rest of the game. Unless you can use it to discard and kind of help yourself reduce damage. Everything else requires her to be in hero form, but we're not going to deal with that just this moment. So I'm going to hang on to these. We're going to draw the rest of our cards for her hand. We got draw up to 6. Okay, great. And then we're going to get to the villain phase. The villain phase has an order of operations to it. We will always start by placing 1 threat on the main scheme, because that's what's called for on the main scheme card. Next, we'll go to the villain activates. So since we are in our alter ego form, Rhino is going to scheme. Now he has a base scheme of 1. So what we're going to do following that is draw a card from the encounter deck and add the boost icons on the bottom right, which there aren't any. So we got lucky there. Just for an example, I'm going to show you what a boost icon is. That's a boost icon. Now each player is dealt a face down encounter card. So I'm going to take that and then we reveal it. All right, Assault. When revealed in alter ego form, this card gains surge. If I was in hero form, the villain will attack you. So since I'm in alter ego form, this card will gain surge, which basically means play another card. So we're going to draw another. This card gains surge. Whew. All right. So what that does, it basically, if you completely draw out all the encounter cards, the main scheme will get a permanent +1 acceleration token. So instead of 1 threat per villain activation, he's going to get 2 no matter what. All right, and here we go, a side scheme. So this is part of the bomb scare. Reports are out that Hydra agents have planted a bomb in a nearby hotel. When revealed, place an additional one per player threat here. So it has a base threat of 2, so it's going to have 3. And this is the acceleration icon that I just mentioned. Acceleration icon. Place 1 threat on the main scheme at the start of the villain phase. So we'll just put that right there. So that will have 3. And then here's the acceleration token. All right. This side scheme can go away. We can thwart and remove this side scheme from the game, and then also get rid of that acceleration token. But these are just some of the challenges you will face in this game. And with that, that's the end of the villain phase, and we would pass the first player token if we had multiple players, but we'll just go back to Captain Marvel. So it's time to do some damage. So we're going to flip to Captain Marvel. She has the ability Rechannel. Spend an energy resource and heal 1 damage from Captain Marvel. Draw 1 card. Limit once per round. Now that is an action. If it cost me to exhaust her, basically using the character for my entire turn, then that would say exhaust character, but it doesn't. So we are just good with action. So I get that no matter what. She's not damaged. I could draw a card if I want, but quite frankly, I don't want to spend the resources, so I'm not going to do that. We're going to use energy absorption, which is just 3 energy, to pay for Photonic Blast. Deal 5 damage to an enemy. If you pay for this card using a energy resource, draw 1 card. So we're going to deal 5 damage to Rhino. So he's going to go down to 9. Oops. All right. Not bad, kid. And then we're going to discard these 2 to pay for Crisis Interdiction, which is a hero action. We can thwart, remove 2 threat from a scheme. Then if you have the aerial trait, remove 2 threat from a different scheme. So we do have the aerial trait thanks to Cosmic Flight. So we're going to be able to remove a total of 4 threat. So we're going to get rid of that card. We're going to discard this. We're going to put that down to 1. And we're going to do the same with the main scheme and get that down to 1. Really close to getting rid of that acceleration token already. It's a great start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Captain Marvel's thwart ability. She has a thwart of 2. And get rid of Bomb Scare. That needs to go. So we're going to discard that. And we're going to get rid of this annoying acceleration token. All right. So that's our turn. We'll draw back up to 5. So I draw 4, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Anything that can be used for defense? I don't see anything. Nope. Okay. So nothing for defense, but that's okay. At the end of the player turn, you will ready all of your cards. So Captain Marvel will be readied because you're always able to defend against an attack from the villain. So since we're at the villain phase, we're going to add a threat. The villain's going to attack us. Captain Marvel will defend. Now to defend, you have to exhaust your character. So you basically only get to defend once. She has a base defense of 1. So we're going to defend a base, we're going to defend attack of 2 plus whatever boost icon we get. So he's going to have a boost icon of 1. So he's going to attack us for 3. She blocks 1, we take 2, we're down to 12, or 10 rather, excuse me. Down to 10, there we go. All right, then we get dealt an encounter card. And it is a minion, Hydra Bomber. When revealed, choose to either take 2 damage or place 1 threat on the main scheme. So we'll just go ahead and take the 1 threat. Let's make that 3. And that's the villain phase, and it's back to Captain Marvel. Now, since she is exhausted from defending, I cannot use her this round. So it's definitely a risk-reward mechanic when defending against an attack. Usually early in the game, you're not too worried about losing too much health, but the risk is there. And that is 2 rounds of Marvel Champions. We're going to have a playthrough once a week. The next hero pack being released is Hulk. That will be our first playthrough, our complete playthrough. We're going to be facing off against Rhino, trying to go a little bit more into the mechanics of the game as well. If you have any suggestions on who you'd like the next hero or villain to be, please leave a comment. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and if you really enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to stay tuned to the channel for more Marvel Champions content. Thanks so much for watching. Stay lame.